It's my pleasure to welcome you here this afternoon to hear our friend Marcus Sheridan tell us all about visual storytelling. Just a few housekeeping things, if I may. You'll have heard this all morning, so if you don't know it by now, then you've obviously not been tweeting. Please feel free to share your views, your opinions, tagging hashtag Play2019 and on our various social media with @Brightcove. I'll hand you over to Marcus. We'll do some Q&A at the end in 45 minutes. Thank you very much.
Yeah, cool. All right, the fact that you're here merits an applause. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here after lunch. You had a choice. You could sit there and you could lay in that bed like many of us probably wanted to. We could take a nap, but instead you came to get your learn on. And I know it gets tiring that final half day of the event. So thank you for coming. I hope we have a good time. I think we're going to look at storytelling in a little bit of a different light. At least I'd like to think so. Because I think all of us are creating video, right? At least for the most part. But it's one thing to create video, but it's another thing to tell and then show what is a great story. So Alex, when you think about the video content you're producing, which by the way, you're wearing a Flash t-shirt, which makes you totally cool, nerdy, but cool, totally digging your vibe. So when you think about your video content, right, how often does your team talk about really the way you're telling and showing the story? You don't have to answer the question. I just want you to think about it. Because hopefully, what's that?
I don't want to answer.
You don't want to answer the question, right? It's too much pain involved there, Marcus. Too much pain. Okay, so it would be easy today for me to show you a bunch of Dove commercials and say that's storytelling, and that's fine, but I don't want to do that. I want to look at it in a very different light. Also, one of the issues that we have here at Play is, we got some people in this room that have a few hundred employees. We have other people in this room that literally have a few employees. And so I want to talk about principles that, regardless of the company you're with, they apply to you. That is my goal, and that is my hope. It's my hope that you, as my friends now, that you all say, as we're looking at this, is it possible that I do what he just said? It's funny, I have this great job, get to travel, talk to cool people like you, right? Live in Virginia, doing this now for, about 7-8 years, talking about this stuff after some neat things happen to me, which we'll discuss. And you see so many audiences, and it's fascinating to me the psyche that goes into an audience. Half the audience hears the thing, and they say, that's interesting, I wonder if we could do that. The other half hears the thing, and of course they say, I don't think that would work for us. Sometimes what's wild is they're actually on the same team. They're in the same company. One person says, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. We need to do this tomorrow. Next person says, no way. Why is that? What's your name? Why is that?
Pete.
Pete, why is that, Pete?
Different personalities.
Yeah, different personalities, different ways to receive, right? Some of us resist change more than others. I think if there's one time when we should all be very open to what is possible is these events, right? These events. And so that's my hope, that your mindset over the next 45 minutes, or now 40, is that we have the mindset of, is it possible? My quick story. So I used to be a pool guy. You're like, man, they brought a pool guy today. Don't I feel smarter? Yeah, I used to be a pool guy. In fact, I started a swimming pool company right out of college. Does anyone know what type of swimming pool this is? Like, what's it made out of? Okay. Okay? No? Anybody have a guess? Come on. You can tell this is too many marketers in the room because we don't have enough pools yet, right? You know what I'm saying? If we were sales teams, we'd be like, oh yeah, I got one of those in my yard. That's messed up. I know, we got to change that, y'all. So we've got vinyl, we've got concrete, and there's one more type of pool, and that's what this is. It's a fiberglass swimming pool, and that's one of about 1,300 fiberglass pools my company has installed throughout Virginia. So yes, I used to be a pool guy. I'm still an owner of the swimming pool company, but now I get to do this. So like I said, we started this in 2001. Things were going okay up until this particular date and number. Does anybody know what this date and number represent? Yeah, it's the day of the crash. What's the bottom number? Let's see if anybody's really good here. Yeah. Yeah, you said it right here. That's the Dow. That's where the Dow went that day. Now, was that a good or a bad day for pool guys? Very bad day for pool guys, because generally speaking, how do most people get the money to buy a pool? My man said stock market. It's funny, in America, we actually borrow it. That's how it works. We borrow it. So home equity, second mortgage. You got to have value in your home. And after this day, nobody had value in their home. At least most people did not. They were upside down. Within 48 hours, we lost $250,000 in business, which for some of you might not be a lot. For me as a pool guy, that was a lot. And over the coming weeks and months, it got worse and worse and worse. By January of 2009, we're literally going over the edge. I talked to 3 consultants that month. All said the same thing. Marcus, you should file bankruptcy. But the problem was, if I filed bankruptcy, I was going to lose my home. My 16 business partners, my 16 employees would have lost their homes. My 2 business partners would have lost their homes. I mean, this is like a bad situation that we had. Very stressful time in my life. And so we're going to give you just a glimpse of how we got back over that edge today through a process of really what some might call storytelling. You know, I started to read about the internet and all these fancy phrases that we all see, like inbound content, digital, blogging, social. But what I heard in my simple pool guy mind was, Marcus, if you just obsess over your customers' questions, like really obsess over them, and you're willing to address them on your website through text and video, you just might save your business. I said, okay, I can do that. Like, there's one thing I can do is I can talk about that thing. I can teach that thing. So our philosophy became a philosophy now that has been embraced all over the world, which of course is they ask, you answer. That ended up being the title of the book that is now taught in college universities in North America, throughout Canada. And it's a beautiful, for me, personal story because we went from a moment of getting ready to lose all this stuff to what is today this amazing ride. I'm so grateful that the market crashed in 2009. I really, really am. But here's what's funny about that story. That story is the reason why I am here today. And I have told that story over and over again. You're going to hear some of that story, not the full story. And that story is what made the book. The thing about it is, those 4 words is what's changed my life. Because one time, right around 2011, I was literally sitting on a panel. And we had started doing all these things with our website, mainly answering our customers' questions. This was when blogging was just really getting going for businesses, right? I finally told the crowd, it just came out. And it sounds, you might say, that's silly, Marcus. But I was like, look, it's just like this. They ask, you answer. And then everybody was like, that's great. Now, is there anything great about that? Fundamentally, is there anything great about that? I would say no. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing unique about it. Yet somehow it became a story and now a business philosophy that literally thousands are doing, Arnold. So the question is why? What makes it stick for so many? Not saying you, because you've never heard of it, but what makes it stick for so many? Simplicity. You're exactly right. And the key here is, and that's number 1, of what are going to be 7 elements of what is timeless storytelling, is the thing that you say, is it repeatable? So in other words, when you talk, when you teach, when you communicate with your videos, how do you judge whether or not somebody else would want to know, could understand the thing? You've played that campfire game. You know the campfire game. One person tells one person a story, and then they whisper it to another person, and then they whisper it to another person. And then the question is, what does the story sound like when you get to the end? And usually it sounds pretty jacked up, completely different. And so, what can you do? What can you say to simplify it in such a way that it is so incredibly simple and repeatable over and over again? Somebody give me an example of a phrase that you use in your company that you know sticks, it lands because it's so simple and so repeatable. Anybody go? Come on.
Fun Factory.
What's that?
Fun Factory.
Fun Factory. Is that the name of the company, or is that something that you all...
We do.
It's what you do. I like that. So you said, instead of calling it what everybody else calls it, which was...
Game Show Network.
What's that?
Or Game Show Network.
Game Show Network, right? You called it Fun Factory, right? Because that just might stick. It might spread. That's exactly right. Was there another one over here? Somebody else had one? Come on. What's one? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a statement from one of our founders over 100 years ago. The needs of the patient come first.
The needs of the patient come first. And it still lives 100 years later because those on your team can repeat it. It's funny to me. I go to companies all the time, speak in there, and I say, so what's your mission statement? And they're like, I know we have one. I'm not sure what it is. They don't know what it is because it's so daggone long, you cannot repeat it. You cannot remember it. And so if it's not repeatable, it's not going to stick. And so ask yourself when you're creating your next video, is this actually repeatable? Have we simplified it down so well that anybody else could say, guess what I heard today? If we just answer our customers' questions, we might save our business. They ask, we answer. It's that simple. And I've heard that again and again and again. Okay, will you fix that for me? That one? Yeah. Now, I want to talk about another one, but before we get to the second principle, so many of you are including your team now on video, right? Some of you are having them even do one-to-one video, maybe, within their email. You're having your subject matter experts get on camera. It's funny to me, so many companies now are coming to me and saying, yeah, Marcus, we tried video and we realized that we're just not good on camera. That's really, really sad. I've had a lot of people tell me the same thing. Now, I want you to raise your hand and be really, really honest. Let's be honest and open with each other because we're all friends, right? And you already found out I'm a pool guy, so you're not threatened whatsoever, right? So raise your hand if you have had some type of on-camera performance and communication training for your team for those subject matter experts that you've put on camera. Raise your hand. Okay, so we've got about 7 people in the room. Now, please, everybody participate. Now, raise your hand if you've ever had anybody in your organization get on camera before. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay. Now, do you see what's happening here? You see what's happening? You can't, in most cases, we can't just throw somebody on camera. It's no different. It's crazy what we do. I told this stat yesterday in the workshop. Craziest thing ever. The number one factor that dictates whether or not somebody opens up an email is what? Subject line. Now, here's what's crazy about that, Ross. Guess what? Now, a salesperson on average sends a few hundred emails a month. A salesperson does. Guess what percentage of salespeople have ever had training as to how to write a subject line for an email? You're exactly right, Ross. It's less than 5%, which is why the average open rate for emails for sales teams is 18%. And yet we wonder why the open rates are so bad. Because we don't take the time to teach what many of us just assume is natural for the person. Which brings us to number 2. So often, you've seen this with speakers. You might have seen it with a speaker here. One of the things that, I've got all these friends, and many of them are saying, I want to speak. And so I'll watch them. We'll talk about it. The number one struggle that speakers have is they are trying so hard, they end up trying to look smart. Now, when we put our team on camera, the individual on camera, they want so hard to be respected or appreciated that they overdo the thing. The goal is not to look smart. What is the goal? What is the goal of, if we look at video and storytelling, especially visual storytelling, what is the goal? What is the goal? Okay, yeah, Aaron, to come off natural, and I would call that to be as incredibly human as possible so as to make a connection. To make that human connection. Have you ever, gone on YouTube before, you were scrolling through videos, you looked at a thumbnail, and you immediately said to yourself, I don't like that guy. And you haven't clicked on the video yet. I don't like that person. Now, what makes you say without even clicking it? Or within the first 5 seconds, you start to look at it and you're like, I don't know about that guy. Now, what makes us within 5 seconds feel like, I don't like that guy? What makes us say that? Come on, it's okay to say it because we've all experienced it. What makes us say it? Go ahead, James. Perception. Now, how does that negative perception come to reality? What made you feel it? The body language. What was the body language saying? Is it Brooke? Yeah. So what about the body? What body language says or puts off an emotion that makes somebody react in such a negative way? Inauthentic? Yeah, I like that one. What else would be a body language that would turn somebody off? Come on. Smug? What does smug look like? Go ahead, somebody show me smug.
Not smiling.
Okay? Smug. Smug. Thank you. She said, Brianna said, I nailed it. And I'm hopefully not a smug person in real life. That was acting, right? That was acting. What's funny, though, is have you ever had a moment when you looked at the video and you said, he or she is just not coming across as authentic? And that's because too often we don't tell people on the front end, don't try to look smart. Our only goal here is that human connection. Are you teaching that to your subject matter experts? I would urge you to consider it. This is the essence of a great story. If you feel threatened by the person that's telling you the story, well, then it doesn't really matter what they say. So a part of great storytelling is the perception of what we feel, the emotions that come across from what that person is doing or saying. Remember this, my friends, it is dumb not to dumb it down. You tell that to your people. Especially those that are in technical fields, especially those that are involving your engineers, that are involving those that are in these high level, and your CEO, he or she thinks that you have to say it in such a formal way that you never make the connection. I love to ask the CEO, so do you want to look smart in these videos, or do you want to make a connection? Which one? Because really, we got to decide. And once we make that decision as a team, now all of a sudden, we can do some beautiful things in terms of the videos we produce. Number 3 aligns with number 2. And this is all about the art of winning that moment. Specifically, in our case, winning it on camera, making that person say, I don't know what it is, but I like that guy. I like how he is. I like how she is. Is it an original voice? In a perfect world, when somebody watches your stuff, our stuff, they say, she's just like me. You're human, I'm human. We are in this together. Now, I want to show you what is an example of original voice. All right? For those that were in my workshop yesterday, showed you this, but this is a great example of one of the videos that we produce a lot of. And just so you know, I have an agency and I have a swimming pool company. And what happened is a couple years ago, I told my agency, we're going to teach companies how to do video in-house. We're going to create this amazing, we're going to teach how to create this culture. It's been an amazing journey. I'm going to be writing a book about it next year because the only video books out there seems to be video books for vloggers and stuff, not for actual businesses trying to really build their brand, their business, their bottom line, right? And so what's interesting about this journey is there's certain types of video that move the needle when it comes to trust more than anything else. One of the ones that we have found is what we call, and some of you have already done them, is landing page videos. What we found is if you create a video and you put it next to a landing page form, assuming you address the major fears that person has. And the 4 major fears of filling out a form online are you going to spam me to death? Are you going to call me to death? What are you going to do with my information? And what's going to happen if I actually fill out this form? Okay, those are the 4 major fears. That's all psychology, right? And so if you address those, but if you do it in such a beautiful, original voice way, you can win the day. And on average, you'll see a conversion lift on that page of 80%. That's what we see consistently. We've seen many cases, 150, 175% lift for get a quote, contact us, any of those pages, but you have to do the video the right way. So I'm going to show you what a video like that would look like right now.
Guys, Christian here with
Will you turn it up a lot?
Listen, we've all had that uncomfortable moment when it's time to submit our contact information online, and we wonder, am I going to be inundated with spam email? Am I going to receive a million phone calls from different folks trying to sell me something? Well, the answer is no in this case. So what will happen when you submit this particular form? Well, you will have opened a line of communication between you and a project design specialist. You'll receive one confirmation email just letting you know that the form was successfully submitted, and you'll receive a phone call within 48 hours from a design specialist. Just one design specialist. You've been dreaming about a pool in your backyard for some time. You've done your homework, you've done your research, you've decided it's time to move forward. So I invite you to fill out the form, hit the submit button. It's time to talk pools. It's time to talk your pool.
Anybody see the Easter egg? Yeah. Like that? Good job. Good job. Okay, inside secret there. All right, now, what do you feel emotionally about that person on the video? Go ahead, be honest. What do you feel about him?
At ease.
At ease. Pete, why is that? Why do you feel at ease? What does he do specifically?
You Have you ever felt this way?
Yes. You call the spade the spade. You acknowledge the elephant in the room. If you just are willing to acknowledge that elephant, it's amazing the trust you can induce. Anybody else get any emotion? Yeah, go ahead, my man.
He's wearing sunglasses, so I didn't trust him.
That's a good point. You know what? If I had to go back and do it again, I would say don't wear sunglasses because, and in fact, he and I actually talked about that after the fact. I'm like, it's good, but I wouldn't wear sunglasses. It's a very good point. What else? Yeah, go ahead.
The selfie mode of it makes it very close.
Yeah, it's super personal, right? It's not like this high budget, and we have nice equipment, but we weren't going to use it that day because the goal was the connection. Overcome the fear. That is storytelling 101. Original voice. I like that guy. And they will find that same feeling if they come and do business with us at River Pools. So I'm asking you, are you creating that type of tone and voice? Especially you take your landing pages where everybody in here would like higher conversions. This is one way you can show your value to the rest of the organization really quickly. Okay, number 4, and this is one of the most important. Are you willing to discuss the obvious? The obvious that nobody else is willing to discuss. This is fundamental to they ask you answer. This is, if you want to become that voice of trust, if you want to make that human connection, what is the obvious? Well, we have found that in every industry, there's basically 5 subjects that everybody researches before they actually talk to a salesperson, before they will buy the thing, in most cases. So in other words, as buyers, as human beings, as consumers, what we want to know is, we want to get a sense for how much is it, what are the negatives or the problems with it, how does it compare to that other thing I'm looking at, what's everybody saying about it, and what is the best it. This is what we call the Big 5. This literally runs our economy, and whether we're B2B, B2C, service product, local, national, I'm telling you, we have all the case studies, we have all the data. This is the economy right now for the way people research online, and that's 70% of the buying decision. And what's fascinating is, what percent of businesses thoroughly talk about these things right here? Go ahead. You're shaking your head no. Not many. People come to me. Great. Why we're better. That's exactly, what's your name, by the way? Mike. This is great, Mike. Because what we're saying to ourselves is, even though they're asking us the question, I'm going to hedge and I'm going to wait. But the problem is, if we hedge and we wait for them to talk to a salesperson, if they're wanting to know that before they talk to us, if they're researching online and they can't find it from us, what are they going to do? They're going to go somewhere else until they find the thing. Now you say, Marcus, how are we going to talk about these things? Let's look at the psychology really fast. This is going to be fun. I need everybody's participation. I want to talk about money really quick because it's too imperative to miss, and you're going to have a good time. Okay? Now, by show of hands, how many of you have researched how much something costs online over the last year or so? By show of hands, okay? Anybody in the room off the grid here, which is respectable if you are, right? So, almost 100% of us. Now, when you're on a website and you're looking for cost and price and you cannot find it, what is the emotion you experience? What's the emotion? Frustration. That is the F word of the internet. So the question is, what gives you the right to feel frustrated? What gives you the right?
Because other people did better.
Yeah, because the expectation has been raised. Yeah, and you are the what? Customer. Yeah, I'm the customer. I'm trying to give you my money, and you're making it really hard. Now, in this moment of frustration, do you say to yourself, oh, I'm just going to keep on digging on this website. I bet it's here somewhere if I just look around. You know, we've done the studies on this. Guess how long somebody will stay on a website looking for cost and price if they can't find it? Guess how long they'll stay? Yeah, the average right now we have found 10 seconds. Can you believe that, Mike? 10 seconds. And it's getting less by the day. Now, in that moment of frustration, do you as the buyer, do you as the searcher, do you say to yourself, of course they're not talking about it. They're a value-based business. I'm going to call them on the phone instead. That's what I'm going to do. Because you stopped that one like 5 years ago. Because instead of calling them on the phone or digging further on the website, you as the buyer, you as the searcher, you keep doing what? You keep searching, and you search until what happens? You find what you were looking for, and generally speaking, whoever gives you what you were looking for, they're going to get what? Your business. And if not your business, at least they're going to get first contact, first phone call. And I'm sure we could all agree that we would always rather be the first company contacted. You know, if you break it down on a psychological level, the real reason we're getting so upset in this moment is because we know as the buyer that they know as the business the answer. And because we know they know the answer and they're not giving it to us, we now feel like they're doing what? That's right, hiding something from us. And the moment you feel like anybody is hiding anything from you online, what happens? Trust is gone. That being said, and everybody's got to participate, we're all friends now, we're all friends. By a show of hands, how many of you on your website right now, especially through video, talk a lot about the cost and price of your products? Go ahead and raise your hand. I'm sure you didn't hear the question. Would you check the mic in the back? Okay, by a show of hands. By a show of hands, how many of you talk a lot about cost and price on your website right now? Now this is great. This is the part where some of you start to look at me and say, I thought I liked you, pool guy, but now I don't. But we can talk about it, can't we? You know, there's 3 major reasons why companies don't like to talk about cost and price on their website. Let's talk about each one really, really fast. Cool, Alex? The first major reason why we don't like to talk about cost and price on our website is, anybody? Yeah, it's too expensive. And we say things like, well, if we're more expensive than our competitors, then we just might lose the business, scare them away. The funny thing about that is what we all just agreed as friends and family at play is the thing that actually scares us away when we're researching something is when the company doesn't talk about the thing. Exactly. Case in point. Now, let's use an example. You're going to say, this is a silly example. No, it's all psychology and it's all the same thing because it's a human brain. So let's be hypothetical. Let's say you want to go, Ben, you want to go to a new restaurant tonight. Yeah, you're going to take a loved one. You want it to be a great experience, right? So Ben, before he goes to that new restaurant tonight, he's going to do 2 things other than make a reservation to make sure he has a great experience. What is he going to do? What are the 2 things? Anybody go? Quick. Okay, look at the menu. He's going to look at reviews. Everybody said it fast. That was good. Now, here's what's interesting. If he or all of us, if you go to the menu and there is no pricing, are you still going to go? Now, some of you are thinking to yourself, is it going on the company card or not? I know how you roll, Harry. This is what we have found. In that moment, 80% of all people won't go. And it's not because they can't afford it, but what was the reason? Because the moment they left it blank, they planted a seed of doubt. And when seeds of doubt exist, inertia occurs. It's the same reason, Ben, you went to that restaurant and you wanted to order the lobster, but next to the lobster, what did Ben see? Market price. Now Ben's got a serious choice, doesn't he? He can either ask the server how much it is or not, but he knows if he asks the server and he doesn't order it, it makes him look cheap. And Ben, we already know you're cheap. I mean, so in other words, what does he do? What does he do? He orders the chicken. He orders the chicken. He doesn't even ask. I know you're not cheap, big dog. Give Ben a round of applause. He's fun. He's fun. Give him a round of applause. He's good. Now, second reason why we don't like to talk about cost and price. Second reason is because we say every job is customized. We have a very customized solution. So if I came to you, Mike, I'll just pick on you because you're fun. So if I came to you and just answer yes or no. If I came to you and said, Mike, can you help me understand what would drive the cost of your product or service up? Could you help me understand that, yes or no? If I came to you and I said, can you help me understand what would keep the cost of your product or service down? Could you explain that? If I came to you and I said, you know what, you gave me a quote, I appreciate the quote that you gave me. It's interesting because you gave me a quote, you're here, and some of your competitors are higher, some are lower. There seems like there's quite a delta in your industry. Can you help me understand why that delta exists, yes or no? And of course, how many times over the years has your sales team probably had to address those questions? Hundreds of times, yet we just wait and allow them to address it, oftentimes having already lost the business. It's the easiest one to answer. It's the most important to answer, yet so often we just say, oh, I can't do it, when we answer it every single day. Third reason why we don't like to talk about cost and price is because we are afraid the competitors will find out. That's the really funny one, right? Because the funny one about that is if I came to you, or any of your sales team especially, and I said, do you have a very good sense as to what your competitors charge? They would say, what? You're like, what would my sales team say? They would say yes, by the way. Yes, they would say yes. So here's the big secret, yeah? If you have a great sense as to what your competitors charge, it therefore means what? They have a great sense as to what you charge. This is the big secret, non-secret. Everybody acts like nobody knows what everybody's charging, when in reality, everybody has a pretty good sense as to what everybody's charging. That works. Besides that, when was the last time your competitors paid your bills? Now, hold up, Pete. You're thinking you're having a civil war in your head, and that's good. That's healthy. That's healthy stuff. Now, before we take a question about this, Because you're not sold yet, let's look at a swimming pool. How much does a fiberglass pool cost? Could it cost $50,000? Yeah. Could it cost $150,000? Yeah, we'll get you there. Sure, no problem. Yeah, we'll get you there. So the answer to how much a fiberglass pool costs is what? Same as it is for everybody in this room. It depends. And when we embrace this philosophy of they ask, you answer, first piece of content we put on our website, an article and a video talking about how much a fiberglass pool costs. Now, before this moment, people used to call us up all the time and say, yeah, I'm not going to hold you to it, but could you just give me a feel? What are we looking at here? And now, once we did this, now all of a sudden they were saying, finally, somebody was willing to address this question that nobody else was willing to answer. Because guess how many swimming pool companies literally in the world had addressed the subject of how much a fiberglass or an in-ground pool cost on their website before we did this? Not a single one. And what were they afraid of? The same three things we're all afraid of in this room. This is why businesses are way more similar than they are different. Now, that's not the only thing that happened. When we posted this, within days, if you went online and you researched how much does a fiberglass pool cost or anything about how much a fiberglass pool costs, if you did it on your phone right now, you're going to find we're the first ones. Now, that's just visitors. That's not a win. Let's track it back to revenue because we got to track revenue so we all get raises, right? And so let's look at the list that shows you what happened next. Here's a list of the number one phrases that generate the most traffic to the website over the next few years. Okay? So let's look at the top one. We had 13,000 people went to Google, typed in fiberglass pool prices. Of those 13,000, 30 of them filled out a form and said, I want to get a quote from you. So what you see on the right side, these are sales appointments. What are the red arrows? The red arrows are phrases that, when somebody searched it, they first landed on that article, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? Okay? And so you've got roughly 200 plus sales appointments that occurred from people that originally landed on that article, how much does a fiberglass pool cost? So here's the very, very important question. If that article's never written, if that video's never produced, how many of those 200 plus sales appointments ever occur? 0 to almost none. Why? Why? Come on, why? Because we never answered the question. But in this case, we did. And because we did, many of them came. And because they came, many of them filled out that form and said, I want to get a quote. Many of them bought. We know the value of each one of their pools. And we can place the value of each one of those pools. And we can place it on top of one little article that I wrote that took me 45 minutes to write one night in 2009. And I can tell you without equivocation that that one single article, since the day it was written, has now generated over $6 million in sales that we would not have had we not been willing to address the question. And oh, by the way, did we ever say how much a fiberglass pool cost? So am I saying that we all have to put a price list on our website? Am I saying that, yes or no? What am I suggesting here? What am I suggesting? Talk about it. Why? Educate them. On what, Arnold? Like, how would we do it? What does that look like? Arrange the factors, what you're going to expect, what you're going to see, because the fact of the matter is most people didn't learn how to buy the thing we sell when they were in school. And they're always in the process of learning about it. And many of the ones that have been in the game for a long time, as you well know, think they know more than they actually know. Folks, unless we teach people about the things that we sell, guess what happens? They think, well, that thing that they sell, we sell in our case, and that thing that their competitor sells are basically the same thing because they told me, essentially, they're the same thing. And so if they think they're all the same thing, they're going to choose based on one factor, one variable, which of course is what? And that is called commoditization. What's crazy is when we do not educate about cost and price, we end up actually commoditizing the very thing we didn't want to commoditize by talking about it in the first place. Now remember, for those doing e-commerce, most people do e-commerce wrong in the sense that, I shouldn't say wrong, but not as well as we could, because when you just put a price, then you do risk commoditization. When you explain why, now we're talking turkey. So I would challenge you, could we talk a lot more about cost and price on our website? And of course the answer is yes. Could you talk about problems? I have a manufacturer of metal. They do a lot of metal roofs. That's what they do. And they came to me and they said, Marcus, we want to say what everybody's thinking. We believe in this philosophy of they ask, you answer. I said, okay, how often are they talking to you or asking about the problems with metal roofs? They're like, all the time. I said, would you be willing to do a video on metal roofs and the problems with metal roofs? Now, can you imagine A metal roof manufacturer openly talking about the problems with the metal roof. How many actually do it, Justin? Not many. So here is the video on YouTube. This was created less than 1 year ago. 1 year ago. And you can see it's got just under 100,000 views as of last night. 7 common problems of a metal roof. So we got 100,000 views from talking about the problems with their stuff. Now, I know some of you in this room are manufacturers. I got this email from them recently, okay? So this is one of their salespeople. He sent it to one of their leadership team members, and I'm going to share it with you really quick because they forwarded it to me. It's symbolic of everything we're talking about right now. So I just wanted to share with you an interaction I had yesterday morning. I received a lead from a homeowner in Louisiana that was interested in shelf-filled metals in our metal roofs. I called him, and here's what happened. First off, he said he was very impressed with we were responding so quickly after exchanging pleasantries. He told me he'd been referred to Shelf-Filled Metals. The first thing he did was go to our website. He said that he looked at all of our content and decided right then that he wanted Shelf-Filled Metals standing seam roof. He said that based on our website and that we were exactly the type of company that he wanted to be associated with, and that if he owned a roofing company, he would buy all of his metal from us. He then asked me for a referral for one of our customers, in other words, a roof builder, that would do his metal roof in Louisiana. I told him that I would be happy to introduce him to one of our customers, pass along their contact information to him. I then alerted our customer to be on the lookout for this potential client, and yesterday afternoon I received a text from our customer letting me know that he was picking up a signed contract for the job this Saturday. All I had to do was make 2 phone calls, 5 minutes or so, and we'll be getting a metal order next week, all because a result of a trip to our website. Kudos to the very hardworking Mozilla marketing team, and thanks Marcus for preaching the truth. Whoa, yeah, I like that part at the end. Now, what's cool is that's a salesperson. And I would like to know, how often do you in marketing get that type of email from sales? If we're not getting that email, we're misaligned probably. But it doesn't happen until we start to address what everybody's thinking, but nobody wants to talk about. And what everybody's thinking is what the sales team is hearing every single day. Do you show it differently than everybody else? Do you really show it differently? Now, let me give an example of what I'm talking about here. I love boats because I love to fish. So I got 4 kids. One of them is a boy. He's 16. And he got me into fishing about 7 years ago. And I'm like, I'm not going to be a bad dad. Let's go fishing. And then that became our thing. And so we fish about 200 hours a year. And once you start fishing and once you get into boating, what happens is you're always looking for your next boat. That's how it works. It's natural. It's very, very fun. And so I'm in the process of looking for my next boat. Now, almost every single video I watch, unless it's a walkthrough, can you imagine, like if you go to the homepage of any boating manufacturer, what type of video do you normally see on the homepage of a boating manufacturer almost every single time? What do you think they show? Yeah, you show the drone video of the family going fast on calm water. And the problem is, once you see one, you've seen them all. But me, as a boater, having gone out in very difficult conditions, am I really concerned about flat conditions for a boat? What am I concerned about, Alex? Choppy water. We got a boater in the house. You said the word choppy. Word, right? So, choppy conditions. I want to know, how does it handle the chop? But nobody wants to show me the 5 and the 6 footers and the blowing through there. Why don't they show that to me, Alex? That's what I want to see. They don't want to scare me away. In reality, what would they end up doing if they showed that? They would make me say, yes, speak in my language. That is the art of story. Are we speaking their language in every way? And in this case, you can almost always assume that if everybody in the industry is showing it the same way, it's probably not right. And it's probably not going to stand out if you do it too. Do the litmus test. It's fun and it's fascinating. Okay, number six. Is there a journey with conflict? Did anybody see Andrew Davis's talk this morning? right? So you learn about the curiosity gap, right? You learn about the curiosity gap. And part of the curiosity gap is on the front end. Andrew's a buddy of mine, and we speak a lot of different places. He's so cool. Guy's so fun, right? And so part of this is you want to create that feeling of conflict from the beginning. From the beginning. Not just beautiful rainbows and flowers. We want conflict to draw them in. Now we're going to watch a very brief part of a video. I want you to pick up on two things. The conflict, but I also want you to, I want you to ask yourself, does this person seem real? Because this is a customer journey video, right? And customer journey videos, surprisingly, most companies don't do nearly enough of them. And if they do them, oftentimes they don't do them the right way. So here's a quick version of a customer journey video. And let's make sure the volume, I'm not sure how it's going to sound. Let's make sure, okay?
My name is Steve Scheinkoff. I'm the CEO of YALE Appliance and Lighting. I've gone through 3 recessions. We lost about a third of our sales. Margins were squeezed. So we hit rock bottom and then some because we owed the banks, quite a bit of money with not much left over. So it was a trying experience. How I met Marcus Sheridan, it's actually a pretty funny story. At this point in time, I'd been blogging for 4 years, and I thought I was pretty good. You all know him as the folksy Marcus. I got a different Marcus Sheridan. He goes, we're not here to talk about what you do right. We're here to talk about the many things you do wrong and whether you want to fix them. Can you handle that? And I think that's like one of the pivotal moments in my career, because half me wanted to actually strangle him, and the other half said, well, he's right. You couldn't argue with the numbers.
All right, so real quick, what do you see? 2 elements, right? What's the first element? Honesty. Right? Honesty in the pain that he was going through. We start with pain. What was his pain? What was his pain? 3 recessions that he had been through, right? The banks are calling, and it looks bleak. But the reason why I extended it out is because I wanted you to see something else. What else did I want you to see there that made it real? What made it real? He said he wanted to strangle me. Why is that so good? Because this is not a situation where he says, oh yeah, I just saw them and I knew this was the greatest company in the history of the world. That is what our customer really wants to hear. And I wanted him to be very, very brutally honest in his experience. Let's look at one more, and this is one that so many of us don't do. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants the slides today, I'll send it to you. All you have to do is email me directly. It's just marcus@marcussheridan.com. Marcus@marcussheridan.com. Or if you have any questions for me, that's my email. So, number 7. Do you allow certain things to go untold, yet understood? We have this beautiful opportunity with video that we can't necessarily do with text. We can show something without even saying it, it can be understood. And so I want to watch quickly a video on that, but here's the final review of the 7, and then we're going to finish with that video, okay, because I know we're out of time, okay? I know we're out of time. So the 7 are, is your video the message? Is it repeatable? Could somebody take it to somebody else? Are we trying to look smart? Because if we are, we're going to lose them before we even have them click play. Does the voice feel original? Is it so human? Are you just like me? Are you willing to discuss what is obvious that everybody wants to know, but nobody seems to want to talk about in your industry? Do you show it differently than everybody else? Is there a journey with a conflict? And finally, are you willing to allow things to go unstated? Now, the final thing we're going to do as a team is we're going to watch one video. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, so hang in there. And then after it's done, it's like I have to tell you to hang in because it's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, right? But after it's done, here's what I want you to tell me. And then we're finished. I want you to tell me, what do you see that wasn't stated? They're going to say all these things about themselves. I didn't make this video, but I love this company because they've embraced AI. They're just a good company. But let's focus on what they don't say and the impressions you get. Is everybody ready? Say yes. Yes. Okay, here we go. Let's watch the video.
ServiceRed, your reputation matters. We believe long-term solutions create long-term partners.
And quality defines your company.
We believe you shouldn't have to change your business
to meet the demands of your suppliers.
And you deserve products developed specifically for your needs.
We believe it's personal.
It's personal.
It's personal. If you're better, we're better.
In standing behind our word.
And that our smallest customer and vendor are as important as our largest partner.
We believe that your challenges are our opportunities.
Your needs are our responsibility.
And they don't end at 5 p.m.
We believe in going the extra mile.
The same day shipment.
I can ship your order in an hour. We believe we save you time
by helping you do what you do best.
We believe in your continuous improvement.
We will not let you down.
We will not let you down.
We will not let you down.
We believe in you.
We believe in you.
We believe in you.
All right, I want to stop right there before the end. What do we know about the company that they didn't state? An impression that you had. Anybody go?
Diverse.
What's that? Diverse. Do they hire minorities? Do they hire elderly? Do they have females that work there? That's exactly right. So we know these things and they went completely unstated. Anything else you picked up on? What's that? They looked happy. So we can say, man, they seem like they've got a great culture. Who knows, they might not. Maybe they faked it great, but man, we feel that they do. Anything else that you learned from just watching it you didn't hear? Go ahead, James. They seem organized. Was it clean? And if it's clean, you're thinking what? Yeah, it's efficient, it's professional, they're going to take care of me. The reality is, folks, we can say it all day long, but unless we show it, it doesn't exist. Let's start thinking a lot more about what can we get across that doesn't even need to be stated. It's a beautiful exercise of what we know as timeless storytelling. You've been a lot of fun. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. Thank you.